Ready?
Yeah.
Hello. Such a childish pair. Oh well, maybe it made you smile. I hope it did. Keris, we're here again. We're doing another video. I have my pen. I've got a whiteboard. Something that's super important. Guys, in this video, we are going to talk about the bestest ever diet for fat loss, aren't we?
We are.
Probably a question we get. I'd probably would say on a daily basis, you know, be it as a, you know, an email, a tweet or whatever, what's the best diet for fat loss? Or I've got this much weight to lose before a holiday or a wedding, you know, what's the best diet to do so?
Or what do you think of this diet, this latest diet?
Exactly. And here at Fitter Food HQ, aka our house, you know, we know that there's much more to it than that. It's not like, bang, here's a diet, this is the very best, get out there and do it. You need to look at the bigger picture, you need to look at you as an individual, what supports your goals, your needs, and there's so many variables that will have an impact on that. And hopefully by the end of this video, you can have a better understanding of kind of like what we're about, our principles, what we use on ourselves, our clients, our members, etc. And then you can go away and ask a ton of questions if you want to, or, you know, implement some of the stuff you've learned today.
Oh.
And that's about it from me. I'm just going to be here with a pen writing stuff down.
He's doing scores on the doors.
That's it.
So basically, guys, what I thought I'd do is talk to you about all the different nutrients that the body needs to be able to function. The reason I always emphasise function is, if you think about it, if you have a fat loss goal, we want the body to be working efficiently, we want our metabolism to be able to do its thing. But also just generally in life, you've got a health goal, you want to feel energised, you want to make sure your mood health is good, because if we feel low and if we kind of aren't feeling hot, we'll crave things, we'll seek external rewards, so then we can't even stick to the principles if we want to be healthy. And we also don't want to be sick, so we want to be able to prevent disease. And all of this is about kind of systems in the body stop working as they should, and then you guys get the symptoms, and then it's a real struggle to kind of, you know, just live the life that you want to live and be the best version of yourself. So I'm going to take you right down to cellular level again. I've had this diagram out a few times now, so hopefully you guys are like, yeah, I've seen that before, I know where she's going. But what we're going to do is
Don't be freaked out by that, though. You know, it's not going to be
your first session in cellular metabolism. I'm going to talk to you about the cells in the body, and the reason being because the body's made up of different systems. Think of digestive, we've got the hormonal system known as endocrine, we've got the nervous system which governs things like our stress response. And all those systems basically need to be able to work, and they're full of cells, a very basic level. So if you want to fix anything in life, any gadget in your kitchen, you tend to take it apart, look where it's broken and fix it. So what we're going to do today is look at your cells, what nutrients they need. Matt is going to write all of the nutrients up on the wall. Some of them aren't going to be nutrients, they're actually going to be maybe lifestyle habits that you need to kind of assess when you're looking
at... What do we call lifestyle habits? Or what do I call them? I come up with this, such a genius.
What do we
But remember, you've got macronutrients,
right,
your carbs, proteins and fats, and you've got your micronutrients, all your vitamins and minerals, etc. And then you've got your maxi-nutrients. Which is your lifestyle habits, stress management, sleep, getting outdoors, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And we emphasise this across what we do. But I'm going to talk to you about the effect that these things have on your tiny little cells. So, are you ready, Matt?
I think so.
Matt is going to write, when I name a nutrient...
Spelling is not my strong point, so this could be comical.
I'll stick to the short version. So when I shout a nutrient, he's going to write it on the board, and then you guys have a snapshot of that board. You can go away. Whatever your goal, you just need to make sure that your nutrition has all of this covered. And then you know you're on the right track for fat loss and optimal health. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And if I say something that maybe we shouldn't do, it's going to go in the column here. Okie dokie, let's get started.
I've never heard you say okie dokie.
Okie dokie. Oh, I just said it then. So I blocked Matt out. This guy's. He's still there.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
This guy's is. This is a cell. So remember, this might be a cell responsible for producing serotonin in your brain, which makes you feel nice and happy. So again, if we have low mood, we want to think about supporting function of these cells. It might be responsible for detoxification in the liver. So again, if you feel sluggish, blah blah blah, you know, you kind of want to support these systems for us to feel good. So let's start off. So here is the cell. Where I'm going to start, guys, is This little thing here is a receptor site, and it sits on the edge of a cell. And basically, think of when we have a weight loss goal, we talk a lot about blood sugar regulation. So this receptor site is listening out for the hormone insulin. When insulin comes around the body, it locks in here, and basically then these little taxis come to the edge of the cell, and they pick up the glucose that you have just eaten. Maybe you've been, some porridge for breakfast or a sweet potato. It's all in the bloodstream here. And these little taxis come to the edge of the cell and they move it across into the cell. Now, a key thing about insulin is basically for us to remain kind of sensitive, or to be able to listen to the hormone insulin, to be able to hear it, for this cell to hear it, we need to make sure we have, let's just say, number one is sleep plays a big role in this. So Matt, there's our first nutrient, sleep.
Sleep?
Yeah. Good amounts of sleep. It's not the top one. The first one I would say is basically we want to limit the amount of time we elevate the hormone insulin, because this receptor site, imagine the friend that calls you every day, or in Matt's case it's his mum who calls him every day. He doesn't always answer the phone because he thinks, well, she calls me every day, it might not be
she
important.
Might watch this.
Sorry. Yes, she might. So we don't always listen to the friend that maybe calls us every single day, and that's the same with this cell. It's going to kind of shut down if insulin is released too much. So we can't eat too often. So we need to go back to doing things like 3 meals a day and have some decent fasts in between our meals. So Matt, our next thing is basically limiting meal frequency is really important.
So under X?
No, under yes. Limit meal frequency is a tick. Or don't eat too often would be, yeah, anyway, sorry. Okay, next up. So imagine we're listening to the hormone insulin. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to have the movement of that glucose into the cell itself. So I'm going to just now come to this outer layer here, which this is kind of a zoomed in version of. This is your membrane of your cell, and this, an integral part of this is actually essential fatty acids. So that's omega-3s, and it's something that most of us don't eat enough of. Omega-6 is also important here, but that's what we do tend to get enough of within our nutrition. So essential fatty acids, omega-3s, Matt, is our next nutrient. We get this from, generally, we kind of recommend oily fish. So sardines, salmon, mackerel, anchovies are great sources. You can go for vegetarian sources, but the conversion isn't always as good in terms of the long chain fats that we need. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you might want to look at some algae DHA to try and get a little bit more of that. Another thing that's really important in this membrane, so the omega-3s make it fluid so things can pass in, but it also needs a certain amount of rigidity, and that's where saturated fats can be really helpful. We don't need to slam a load of coconut oil into a coffee or start, kind of chugging back loads and loads of butter, but we do need a little bit of saturated fat. So again, saturated fat, Matt, is the next one on the list. So things like red meat, eggs, full fat dairy, just a little bit every now and then using those fats within our nutrition is also good. Now this membrane is really vulnerable to damage, so it's also helpful to have loads of antioxidants in your diet, but also you can kind of kill two birds with one stone by having lots of monounsaturated fats that have high amounts of vitamin E in. So olive oil and avocados are really wonderful for kind of making sure this membrane stays nice and healthy. So Matt, we in your absence mentioned vitamin E and monounsaturated fats. I'll leave him to write. Okay, next up, so then we've got the glucose coming into the cell. Now, for this cell to be able to do its thing, it needs to, basically it's always creating things. It might be creating transport proteins or enzymes or all sorts of stuff. And the body's always kind of churning out stuff. Think of it like a kitchen, busy kitchen, tons and tons of meals are being sent out all the time. We need energy for that. And for us to be able to basically generate energy, turn that glucose that's just come in, the first mineral that's really important is magnesium. So magnesium, Matt? Next up, all the B vitamins step in terms of all this glucose is basically going to go into something called the mitochondria, and the mitochondria are responsible for creating something called ATP. Now, most vitamins and minerals are really important for this, but the main ones I'm going to mention, we've already got magnesium, we've already got the B vitamins, we also need CoQ10.
I didn't put B vitamins down.
Get the B vitamins down, Matt. CoQ10. We need iron, we need copper. Zinc is fundamental for pretty much anything a cell needs to do. So zinc should be top of the list. I'll recap in a second, Matt, don't worry. It's like,
yeah, I'm not very fast writer. I'm used to predictive text.
Yeah, or emojis, pictures. Okay, so we've also got iron, copper. Then this in itself, this process of creating energy, the byproduct is basically quite high amounts of things like free radicals. Now these free radicals, think of it as kind of, if you're cooking in the kitchen, you're peeling all your veg, you're chopping everything, and you're chucking everything all over the side. That's how I cook anyway. It's all the kind of waste products of that process. And if you don't actually get rid of that, it can build up and it can be really hard to actually find space to cook in your kitchen. The same thing happens in this cell. So this is really busy. Imagine if you're quite an athlete or something, or you like to do loads of exercise, have a really busy lifestyle. This process is happening a lot. So we get high amounts of free radicals. So we need, again, loads of antioxidants. What I'm going to mention here is actually protein is really, really important. So protein, Matt, in terms of protein, helps to produce one of the master antioxidants in the cell, glutathione. So things like glycine, N-acetylcysteine and glutamine are really important. So some protein-rich foods within your diet is essential. And vitamin C comes along and regenerates that. We've got vitamin C? Vitamin C is going on the list. So we've got quite a stack of nutrients for this cell to fuel itself, for you to be able to burn your carbohydrates or start to use your fat stores for energy to fuel this cell. So that's where we are with all of those. But just taking a step back for a second, for this cell to actually work requires oxygen. So we need to get oxygen to the cell. That's done via red blood cells. For a red blood cell to function requires, number one is the protein glycine. And again, we get this from things like skin on chicken and the skin on fish, bone broth, and the kind of eating the whole animal from kind of nose to tail, which again is kind of an argument for the paleo diet in terms of getting those different proteins in, not just kind of the lean meats all the time. So we've got glycine, Matt, to go on the list. Another thing for red blood cells, most of you might be thinking of iron, because iron is an important part of carrying oxygen around the body for the cell, because obviously this oxygen feeds into this mitochondrial function here. But also you may not know that B12, go on Matt, folate, vitamin C, iron, we already kind of mentioned iron again, and we've got copper, are also really important for red blood cell function. So for that red blood cell to mature, be able to do its thing, taking oxygen around the body, requires all those micronutrients. If you have an anemia, not only do you want to be looking at iron, you need to be looking at those nutrients as well. If we just step back a second again, look at digestion, we need to be able to get all of these nutrients into the body from the gut in the first place. And again, there are lots of key micronutrients. Vitamin A and zinc are really important for the production of things like stomach acid. Enzymes themselves, digestive enzymes, are made of protein, so we can put a big kind of circle around protein. You should familiarise yourself with what are known as essential amino acids, and these are the ones that you want to actually get from your diet, because we can't actually get enough internally. So sometimes the body can break down other proteins, use those amino acids to make stuff, but there's some that it can't, so that requires us to eat these essential amino acids. Look at him, he just wants a little bit of attention. Here's me. Another thing I didn't mention earlier, this cell needs to be hydrated, so you've got to be drinking your water, but also we need sodium and potassium, so there's two more, Matt, sodium and potassium, for it to be able to get that water out of the bloodstream and into the cell. Really, really important. We've got the sodium-potassium pump, and water will follow sodium, so that is vital. Next up here, I've just put thyroid hormone function. So thyroid hormones, you guys know them as probably an important part in weight loss. It's kind of a master regulator of your metabolism. So it kind of decides the speed that all this happens at, how quickly we're using up the calories and the energy, the macronutrients that we're eating. Some key nutrients for thyroid function. So the actual thyroid hormones themselves are made up of something, an amino acid called tyrosine, which we get from things like meat, fish and eggs. So tyrosine, Matt?
That's for that.
Tyrosine. Then we also need iodine. So basically that molecule of thyroid hormone is tyrosine, and then different molecules of iodine. That hormone actually comes into the cell. It's extra special. It gets to come into the cell and talk to the nucleus of the cell, tell it, what's the situation outside, what do we need to do, what speed are we going at here. Vitamin A is integral, vitamin A, Matt, for this nucleus to be able to receive those messages from thyroid hormones, so some more nutrients. And finally, for the conversion of inactive into active thyroid hormones, we need selenium. So many people are hyperthyroid nowadays. There are so many reasons why, but nutrient deficiencies could be driving it, so think of those nutrients. Vitamin A, zinc is also important. Zinc is important for everything, as is B6, but iodine, tyrosine, selenium. Back down here, lastly, defense. Defense. So this cell needs to be able to protect itself and defend itself. This is mainly, again, we're talking about antioxidants here, we're talking about its ability to detoxify. So we want to be able to have things like protein is really essential for this. I already listed some. All the B vitamins are really essential for this. And in terms of the antioxidants, again, looking at things like polyphenols within your nutrition, which are really rich in things like herbs and spices. So just put antioxidants, Matt, we haven't got those already. Polyphenols. Tea, coffee, herbs, spices, the dark green leafy vegetables, the cruciferous vegetables, so that's things like broccoli, cauliflower, broccoli sprouts, bok choy, are amazing for basically helping to support detoxification, allowing this cell to get rid of waste products and defend itself against anything else, to stay strong and robust. So guys, that is, what have we got there, Matt? Let's have a look.
Loads of stuff going on.
Loads. Do you want to read them out? They're quick, read them out.
Yeah.
Speed of light.
Right, so just block the light that's shining on there. Oh, there you go. That's it, see. Right, so in no particular order, we have antioxidants. And what we should probably do, Kerry, is at the end here, because we don't want you looking at things and thinking, oh, where are all these things right here? We'll give you a really kind of simple example of some tips that you can follow to ensure that you've got the variety there, to ensure that you've got all of this covered. Right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So we've got antioxidants, sleep, the Mac Daddy of, she's peeping. the Mac Daddy of health and fat loss. I always say it, and often the missing piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. Limit meal frequency, so just don't be eating, mindlessly snacking all the time. Omega-3s, oily fish, easiest way to get it. Supplement, if, like Keris mentioned, if you don't like the stuff. Saturated fat, meat, eggs, good quality dairy, cheese.
Coconut would be a vegetarian source, I didn't say that.
Vitamin E, C, vitamin A, so obviously getting those down, I should have just put them all on the same line really, could have saved some space. Some monounsaturated fats, magnesium, again, our soils are very kind of depleted in magnesium these days, hence the reason why we get a lot of people to supplement with this. B vitamins, CoQ10, we've got iron, we've got copper, good old protein. We do love a bit of protein, so get that down here. Glycine, B12, folate, sodium and potassium, good hydration, always key. Tyrosine, and I've said vitamin A, I think. So yeah, quite the list.
In terms of the
I think I actually ventured out of shot there, but never mind.
In terms of the little cross in the corner, so something that will damage this outer membrane, the really kind of delicate fats, is if we kind of go down the route of having trans fats. So if you're kind of eating a lot of takeaways, eating out a lot, the food industry will use the cheapest oils and they will reheat them over and over again, so they become kind of prone to oxidation. So I mentioned free radical damage, and this is really kind of one of the sources, but also too much of anything, too much stress. So we should probably write too much stress, too much exercise, so overtraining, eating out a lot, not prepping your own food. All of these things are going to just kind of increase the free radical load on the body, and the cell has to work even harder to kind of protect itself, and it may get damaged. And again, if it gets damaged, so if a free radical comes along and basically damages this receptor site here, so you can see it's now damaged, it just doesn't work anymore, and then suddenly you're insulin resistant. And that was actually due to free radical damage, not because you ate too many refined carbohydrates. So just think about that. Lastly, I didn't mention actually as well, in terms of digestion, fibre, I forgot to add that, Matt, we stick that on the list.
Fibre.
Fibre, because we also want to feed the beneficial bacteria, who are really important for so many things, but they communicate with the immune system. They're also kind of preventing you from getting infected, which can cause inflammation. They also have a strong role in communicating with our brain chemicals, so we know that kind of production of serotonin, which makes us feel good, dopamine, which makes us feel motivated, are really influenced by the gut bacteria, and they affect the sex hormones, especially estrogen and testosterone. So we want loads of fibre in there as well. Over here we had
too much stress, overtraining,
eating out. Not too much eating out. Just as well, you don't have control. It's going to be the cheapest materials. We eat out, of course we do, but just not too often. Don't make it the main source of your nutrition. So things like takeaways or buying ready meals, or kind of always going to the supermarket and kind of grabbing something that's pre-made, it's going to have those cheap oils. It's not going to be, kind of sourced locally and necessarily have the nutrients like these might have. So there's just a few things to kind of limit within your nutrition. I would also probably add flour, just because it can elevate insulin a little bit too quickly. It doesn't necessarily have the amounts of fibre. So flour, we just say keep it in moderation. So again, if you're eating flour-based carbohydrates all the time, things like bread and pasta, and you don't have good insulin health, you could be making that a little bit worse. Whereas if you're eating sweet potato or maybe just rice or quinoa, it's not flour-based, it's kind of more of the whole grain.
Well, I think it's kind of important to highlight that, you know, we're not anti-carb at all.
No way.
You know, we're very pro-carb.
It's the favoured source of fuel for this cell is glucose, guys.
And also as well, we're not anti-gluten, you know, but so it's not that we say, oh, just go gluten-free and find gluten-free alternatives. Like other people do suggest they demonise gluten, but then get people to just eat a load of other processed stuff that is gluten-free. But for us, it's not just about limiting gluten, it's about just limited processed foods generally, right?
Absolutely.
You know, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
So I think that is everything. One thing I will say is, so this is the approach that has guided every bit of advice that we give to our members and on our program Fit at 16. We're not just about fat loss in terms of calories in, calories out exercise. We're about feeding your cells so that your metabolism is healthy, so that actually at the weekend, once you've got this working in good order, your nutrient status is good, your insulin health is good, you're in an exercise routine, you're sleeping well, you can go out and have a pizza and some ice cream at the weekend and it doesn't affect you at all. And that is the place that we want to get you to, that kind of level of flexibility where you can go 90-10, 80-20, whatever works for your lifestyle. So guys, this is what we decided to make our approach: nutrient density, fuel the body, fuel the cells. If you want more details, you can find out at www.fit16.co.com.
Well, I just want to say...
That was the worst pitch ever.
Shocking. Let's move on. It didn't happen. Because what I think would be cool to do is, like, guys, if you look at this here, don't be overwhelmed by this. So, because the key here, the key take home here is getting a variety of everything. So protein, like Keris mentioned, don't just stick to the same old protein, meat, chicken. You know, get some lamb in there as well.
Absolutely.
You know, get some pork in there. Get your oily fish. Get your white fish. You know,
liver and organ meats are amazing sources of B vitamins, and the CoQ10.
Some people take a bit of convincing on that, but it is so nutritious and it's cheap.
And you can always cook it, freeze it in tiny pills, and just put it in a smoothie. Or
That's
something.
if you really can't stomach the stuff, though. I think, because I actually love a bit of liver and mashed potato. Yes, please. So I've done a little box here: proteins, fats, carbs. Everything else here is kind of generally like your green veg, your fruit, your berries, etc., etc. Which of course will kind of they're going to come into this bracket here, aren't they? Generally, but a lot of like leafy veg and broccoli, we don't really kind of factor in. That's just like get a load of that kind of stuff down.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that necessarily.
So just proteins, fats, carbs, just get that variety. Meat, eggs, dairy, which is going to kind of be a bit of a crossover there. Your omega-3s, of course, oily fish, antioxidants, again, fruit, vegetables, berries are absolutely jam-packed with antioxidants and they taste fantastic. And relatively low in calories as well. That kind of myth of, fruit makes you fat, it doesn't. Too many calories, too much food in general makes you fat. But berries are actually relatively low calorie and really, really nutrient dense. So variety, don't neglect your sleep. I added this here as well, chewing your food properly.
Yeah,
really
definitely. Simple
thing that you can do to improve your digestion and improve your nutrient absorption is just taking your time, chewing your food properly, breaking it down. The more you break it down in the mouth, the easier you're making life for your digestive system, etc., etc. But yes, that's it.
We are done. So guys, this is the best diet for fat loss. The one that contains all of these nutrients, the one that the body was designed to run on in the first place, and it's just about you guys making it sustainable and fit with your lifestyle, which, check out our website for a ton of recipes with all these foods in. And yeah, jump in the comments box if you have any questions.
Yeah. I've just added one last thing, by the way, if Keris moves her bar on it. I've put too much food, aka portion sizes. So, the other Keris mentioned earlier about meal frequency. Doesn't mean just piling your plate with a massive portion of food, because if you're like me, if it's there on the plate, I'm going to eat it. So be a bit more savvy with what you put on your plate and have an honest chat with yourself whether you actually need any more.
All right.
We're definitely finished now.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.